Hey, somebody said they wanted to see my face in the next video, so here you go. Here's my face. So quick vocabulary lesson. This is technical vocabulary. So you'll probably hear me talk about cardboard a lot. I still slip up just because I think when we say cardboard, we all kind of know what we mean, but technically this stuff is cardboard. So your soda boxes, your cracker boxes, your cookie boxes, that's cardboard. Whereas this stuff, your boxes, this is actually called corrugated board or corrugated containers or corrugated boxes. So anyway, you'll probably hear me going in and out. I'll forget, and sometimes I'll say cardboard and sometimes I'll say corrugated, but technically the correct term is corrugated. It's kind of like, my first 2 degrees were in forestry, and the soil scientists always got really upset when you called it dirt. It's soil, and they get really bent out of shape when you call it dirt. And maybe we push their buttons sometimes by calling it dirt on purpose. Sorry. And I might use this stuff. Well, I'm probably going to, just because it's so much easier to use. This is double thick, double strong. So like heavy stuff like furniture often comes in that double thickness. So that stuff's great if you got it, but if you got single, that's fine too. You just may need to use a bit more glue. So I'm going to show you an example of a hobby organizer, and we'll go from there. Try to have some fun. Cheers, guys. Miss you. So the project is called Hobby Organizer. And I've got lots of organizers in here, believe it or not. Some are obvious, some are less obvious. Here's one that most of you haven't seen, because this is my little tool cart for the guitar club, or this year it's the ukulele club. So I'm just gonna get it out where you can see it and get away from that fan noise. So what we have here is just an old surplus drawer unit. And because it's specifically for Guitar Club, Ukulele Club, I keep it out of the general shop, and I roll it out for club and I roll it back. So one of the first things I did was I put it on wheels. So these are called casters, and these are locking casters. And I've got some magnets on the side. I made this thing here, and you can see it holds a variety of stuff, and you could make this out of cardboard. This is made out of plywood, which is obviously stronger and more durable over time, but I'm going to show you some tricks to make corrugated board to increase the durability of it. So that'll be coming up. And then we've kind of got some mini organizers. This was one to organize the drill bits, and we actually got fancy and laser engraved like what size bit is for what item on the building a guitar. This I just took a scrap and just drilled a bunch of holes in, so it's a little bit more random. Oh, what else? On the back, now these used to be common. These used to be on pretty much every desk, and it's just a sorter. It's a sheet metal sorter. It's stamped sheet metal, and these were made by the millions. And you can still find these sometimes in thrift shops for like $1 or $2, and it's great for organizing sandpaper for me. I also put some rolls of sticky back sandpaper, and so there's a dowel going through there. And I put an old metal cutting hacksaw blade on there to cut the sandpaper off. got screwdrivers and sockets and files. These are some of my files with the golf ball handles. What else? So there are the magnets for other tools. And then let's look at the drawers. These well, this one looks very nice. So this is a foam, and this type of foam comes often in electronics packaging. So if you get a TV or a computer or something, you'll have this kind of foam, and you can just cut it out, and you have to have a little notch so you can get your thumb in there. But super cool way to be organized, because if there's a tool missing, you know right away. This also is sometimes called a shadow board. That's usually if it's mounted on a wall, but say that's pretty handy. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna redo at least part of this drawer. I've changed a couple things. Like there used to be a sanding beam over here, but I've decided I really need this area for these specialty files here. So I think for this video, I'm gonna redo just this section of the drawer. And then these drawers do not have anything yet, so we might also tackle that in an upcoming segment of the video. So we've got sanding blocks of various types, and I'm not sure. We could try to organize that. I think this drawer is a better candidate for what I'm thinking. And I think we're gonna do some simple dividers, and we're also gonna do some shadow boards. So pretty basic example here. This drawer is just divided here, and like if you think about your kitchen utensil drawer at home, you probably have some kind of like pre-made, like a Rubbermaid type organizer for utensils. And it's just making minimal, like compartmentalizing it so that you can organize a little bit better. This is a pretty weak example. So I went from some great examples to a not so good example, but yeah. So foam, if you can get it, would be great, but probably most of you have access to cardboard. So that's what I think that's what most of us will probably use for this project. So I think the rest of this, I might shoot at home. So you might see me at home in the next segment. Okay, cheers. There's my face. I think I'll just use that from now on. Thanks, Lino. So I decided just to, because I had the foam and I really like this stuff, if you can get your hands on it, it's pretty awesome to work with. This was actually manufactured, well, I don't know if it was manufactured by, it's sold by a company called Fast Cap up in Ferndale, Washington. And they sell some other, well, they sell lots of cool products like these labels. So this is called Kaizen foam. These are maybe Kaizen labels or something, or I know they sell some, but anyway, awesome stuff. But we're gonna try not to buy anything for this project. This drawer kind of is what it is. It's pretty much just sanding blocks, towels, and sponges, and a couple of big erasers. Thanks, Talon. So that drawer is fine the way it is. It's not great, but I don't think it's worth organizing. This one, however, is kind of a mess, and stuff, you know, as you open and close it, stuff shifts around. And the biggest problem I have with that is these saws. It's not a good way to treat a saw. Have them bang around and bang into each other. So we're gonna organize this. I'm gonna do some compartments. Most importantly, I'm going to do some shadow boards for these saws, and I'll just kind of organize, compartmentalize this stuff, and we're going to shadow board this. And you'll see how I'm going to do it, but a lot of times you can reverse the handles and the blades with a lot of tools, because the handle is usually the fat part. But in this case, I don't want anybody to, risk cutting their fingers. Some of you have been bitten by these sharp little teeth, and you know how sharp they are and how quickly they can go through skin. So we're gonna keep all the handles down here, even though it's gonna be a bit wider. So I'm gonna have to, it'll be a lot easier when I have two hands for this, but I will lay this out and take some measurements. If you have a deeper drawer, you could actually stack it. You could do like a half tray on top that would slide back and forth or lift out. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. These drawers aren't really deep enough for that. I mean, I guess if you had certain tools, you know, I guess, and maybe someday if I get more tools, actually, this one, maybe I could do something like that in the future. You know, I might have like a half thing that would slide back and forth. So possibility for the future, but don't really need it now. I'm going to use the double thick cardboard just because I have it. We'll talk more about adhesives in a little bit. And I want to talk quickly about how to cut this stuff. So you'll need some kind of straight edge. It could be a board. Please talk to the adult in charge at your house before you start any of this. You will need a sharp knife. You'll need something to cut on. If you've got an old piece of foam, this works awesome. Maybe you've got a table on the patio. You can double up the cardboard. Just be careful with the blade, and also make sure it's a new blade because it cuts so much better. And it's actually, a sharp blade is actually way safer than a dull blade. I don't think I can film this with one hand because I really need two hands for this, but like I said, some kind of straight edge, and don't try to go all the way through on the first pass, even with single thickness corrugated. I think I said cardboard earlier, didn't I? You'll want to take 2 or 3 light passes with a knife. Just score it and then do it 2 or 3 times at least, and just go easy, and it's not too hard. And then I'll show you with single thickness corrugated. You could also use scissors if you have some good heavy duty scissors. That would be okay. And I've got some other scissors I'll show you that most people probably don't have, but again, because I have them, I'm going to use them. So I'll be back in a bit. You know, here we are. This took longer than I certainly thought it would. Very happy with how this shadow board turned out. That's great. I gotta say that foam is so much easier to use, so if you can get your hands on that. For this type of thing, that foam was awesome. But this corrugated is gonna work fine for dividers. I was hoping to have everything in its own little compartment, but I think this will work fine. I haven't glued this one in yet. I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll put another brace across here, and maybe there'll be a little compartment here. Yeah, I don't quite think I can get another one in there. Because, yeah, maybe that would be better. Yeah, not sure. So I'll decide. For adhesive, so your good old Elmer's school glue will work fine. A little better and easier to use might be if you have some kind of a tacky glue or craft glue, which I think is very similar to this stuff. Weld Bond is awesome, but this will come in handy in the near future, and I'll show you why. A hot glue gun is sure handy for tacking things in place, because what you can do is just come in here and tack the corners, and then you could go back in with your tacky glue. But I need 2 hands for this next step because I want to put some Weld Bond on the side of my shadow board here. So I'm going to do that, and then after it's all compartmentalized, we'll check back in and we'll do the final step. Here we are, home stretch. I realized that it's a lot easier to reach some of this stuff if the dividers aren't so tall. And so I started cutting. I mean, I wanted this one to be tall enough so that you wouldn't accidentally touch those saw blades to get these are jigs. I think San Diego City College, I'm hoping I got that right. So they shared these files for free, even got left-handed versions. These are electric guitar bridge setup jigs. Awesome. I think I printed out just the one lefty. No, that's about right. Just don't get too many lefties. So, and then I'm gonna come back and label these, and you can label these. You could just write directly on the compartment with Sharpie. So I think this works. This internal divider is shorter, so I can still get at these and get at these. I think it's fine. These are tall, which means they'll be a bit stronger. And this compartment here is big enough that I can get in there everywhere. So what I'm gonna do now is slide this out. Oh, you may have noticed unfortunately, I've got a little bit of dead space back here because this is the catch that keeps the drawer from coming all the way out. So I wanted to be able to, so what I'm gonna do now is unload this and slide the whole thing out. And then I'm gonna go back with weld bond wherever I can, because I tried to just tack corners with the hot glue, but this stuff is stronger than hot glue. So I'm gonna slide it out, reinforce all the joints with weld bond, and then you'll see, I'll come back for the very final finishing touch, minus labels. You would want to write, I'm gonna use the fast cap labels later on, so those things, but you could just write directly on there with Sharpie if you wanted to. So okay, time to finish. So what we want to do now is just make this a little bit more durable and seal it so it kind of stays clean. It'll be a little bit more rigid, and at least you'd have the ability to clean it. It won't be an absorbent surface anymore. So shellac works great for this, or any kind of clear finish in a can. Most of them will work. If you're going to spray, again, check with the adult in charge at your home, and you want to do that in the garage with the garage door open for a lot of those rattle can finishes, or outside would be even better. But I really don't want you guys to buy anything for this project, so what I did here is I just put some good old Elmer's School white glue in a cup, and we're going to dilute this about 50-50 with some warm water. Stir that up. I wish I had 3 hands like Kate. Man, it would make life so much easier. So this stuff is water soluble. Stir it up good. And then just get a cheap brush. I mean, you could put it on with your fingers if nothing else. It's not gonna hurt anything. But if you have just a cheap throwaway brush, use that. It'll go a little easier for you. And yeah, I get to do this left-handed. So yeah, just paint it on. And obviously this is gonna be messy, so put down some newspapers, do it in the garage, do it outside. Just think about what you're doing. So slather this on, and that's gonna seal everything up. And when it dries, then you can label it if you want or not, whatever. So I don't know if I'm gonna put a finished picture on here, but maybe I will. So hope you guys have fun with this and take your time, do a good job. This actually took me way longer than I thought. It's definitely a lot easier to make stuff out of wood if you have the tools. I probably could have done this project in half the time using plywood or solid lumber and all the nifty tools that I have, but most of you guys don't have access to that, so I wanted to give you guys something you could do at home for hopefully next to nothing. So enjoy. Cheers.